Action.
I'm bringing this special meeting, our first public hearing of fiscal 2026 municipal and wastewater budget to order. It is Thursday, April 17th. Can I have a roll call, Madam Clerk?
You may. Councillor Bragdon.
Present.
Chair Danforth.
Here.
Councillor Dume.
Excused.
Councillor Higgins.
Excused.
Councillor Mackin.
Here.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Here.
And Councillor Pelletier.
Would you please all join me to the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Manager, are there any adjustments to the agenda? Okay,
No real adjustments. We did update
Pages.
that was posted online. We'll go over those, if they're.
very good. We have no special presentations. But before I go forward, I'm just going to ask if members of the public would silence their cell phones. So we're going to go into new business, and Councillor Bragdon, can I have you read order number 63?
Order number 63-2025, providing for a public hearing. It is ordered that the Millinocket Town Council enters into a public hearing for discussion of the FY 2026 municipal and wastewater budget.
Second. Motion made by Councillor Bragdon, seconded by Councillor McLaughlin. All councillors in favor. Going into the motion passes 5-0. We are now into our public hearing, and I'm going to turn it over to the manager to take us through our budgets.
All right. Welcome to the first special hearing. Two or second. Next Thursday at 5:30. Department same night for their official special hearing, and following both hearings that same night. And both sides of our budget. Snack
Right.
into attend. We'll have all of that in a couple of meetings. Get through.
Long one.
This is my microphone. It's pretty hang on a moment. Thank you, Sandy.
All right, Sandy and all, can you hear me much better now? Awesome. Thank you for the feedback. All right, so we're going to head into our, I have a presentation up. I'm very proud of myself. Actually, this is the first PowerPoint presentation I've ever made, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you all. Hang a moment, I'll share my screen and we'll jump into the budget. We're going to start with the wastewater budget, and go from there. I present to you
Oh,
the
goodness.
FY
Yes.
26 municipal
Oh, goodness.
budget, complete with
Yeah.
curtain reveal. All right. So the wastewater budget, the summary looks like this. The expense total is $946,000, $946,190. That's down just over $100,000 from FY25. The revenue total is actually the same with some of the variations that balanced out to be the same number. That's $1,089,000. FY26 revenue over expense for wastewater is $142,810. So, first department is wastewater administration. This has a difference of $6,900. The department total is $115,300. And we did a lot of discussion on the, you know, the mechanics of a lot of this during the workshop. So I will keep my descriptions brief tonight, but I'm certainly open to whatever questions or points you'd like me to expand on. You want to?
Any council comment on this part of the budget? Is there any public comment on wastewater administration? Can't see the Zoom screen, so if there's anybody in public that wants, you'll have
If
to let me
they
know.
see up in the top right corner, that's the attendees. If they unmute their mic or put their hand raised up, we'll be able
You'll be able to
see.
see. Okay,
All right.
so moving on. Yep.
Wastewater protection. This is the insurances for the wastewater operation that has a difference of $2,844. Total for those insurance packages is $36,600 for FY26.
Any council questions, comment on this page? Any public comment? Being none? Can move on.
This is the plant operations. We are expecting a difference of $17,017 here. The overall department has a cost of $419,001.
Any council comment on this page? Any public comment? Being none, you can move on.
Yeah, I only have 64 slides, so
So do we need to?
it's okay.
This is a time for public comment.
It's
right?
funny.
Yeah,
I'm
it's funny. Yeah,
I'm a
okay.
very funny guy.
Here we go.
All right, so
Talk
wastewater
faster?
pumps,
I don't know. Right.
wastewater
Louder.
pump stations. This is the operation of the several pump stations that we have throughout town that project everything over to the lagoons. This is an expected difference of $8,740. Total cost of operation there, $93,040.
I'm seeing no counselors with a hand up. Any public comment on this? Being none? Move to the next page.
All right, wastewater collection. This is where you'll see the cost for that is paid to Public Works for the operation of the flusher truck, which we are bringing back to life to meet the DEP standards in this year's budget. So this is what you'll see this line later in the revenue for the Public Works Department. For the operation of that flusher truck, we do have to add an individual to do that to the crew, and this is roughly 75 to 80% of that person's salary. The total is $67,700.
Any public comment on this? Seeing none, move along.
All right, wastewater debt service. Over the last, dating back to, I think, the oldest active bond that the wastewater department has is from 2008. These are bond payments on the debt that we have for the critical repairs and updates to the infrastructure for our sewer system. In FY26, we're expecting payments to be $214,549. That's a slight decrease of about $800.
Any public comment or question? Seeing none, go to page 8.
We have no capital improvements budgeted for wastewater this year. We're keeping a close eye on their comparison of revenue towards expense. It's beginning to cut it pretty close with some of the necessary improvements that have had to be made over the last over many years. So capital improvement is 0 this year, and then the total for the cost, as I mentioned in the overview for expenses, this is the last expense department in wastewater. Total is $946,190 altogether, and a decrease of $100,884 for the total expenses for wastewater.
Any council comment? Any public comment? All right, I think you can move right along.
Fantastic. So now we're into wastewater revenues. This is a quick section. So wastewater administration. These are the individual account fees for different properties. This is bank investments for balances and the interest they receive. Revenue from lien costs. This administration revenue is $1,086,500. Slight change there of $500.
See no council questions, comments, any public comment? None. Move along.
And the last department for the wastewater budget, this revenue is from pump stations. It's it's basically it's the RV dump station up at the chamber building. And that does pretty good, around $2,500. The total expected revenue for wastewater, again, is $1,089,000. And just a recap of summary, the total expenses for wastewater, $946,190. Revenue total, $1,089,000. Total revenue over expense is $142,810. Any other questions with the wastewater budget?
None from the
Something
council.
public?
Any public comment, questions?
This is usually much easier because
Yes.
it's not included in the tax raise portion of the
Right.
budget. So Speaking of that portion of the budget, let's
Transition to there.
transition to the FY26
So for
municipal
yeah.
budget summary.
Before you go on, I just say process wise for any of the councils, 'cause like you said, we've had 2 budget workshops where we've given input. I will just raise your hand. I don't need to ask each time if there's something you want to say. Otherwise, I'll go to the public because as this being a public hearing, maybe that will help the process just a little.
Sure.
Yeah.
Your call, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
So budget summary, FY26 municipal budget. Expense total here is $8,212,951. The revenue total in this budget draft is $5,447,916. The total tax raise portion, that's the difference, expense over revenue. It's $2,765,035. The difference from FY25 budget to FY26 budget is a decrease in our tax raise request of our community, decrease of $24,564. That means I want to say this is my 4th budget with the town, and this is 4 consecutive years of decreases in the town's, the municipal side of our budget and the tax raise portion.
So noted. Thank you, Mr. Manager.
You are welcome. Moving into the budget. Sure love it if it wanted to change. There we go. First department in the expense budget is general government. This has a difference of $5,709. The department total here is $417,724. This is council stipends, administrative salaries, contracts, and the benefits that go along with those positions.
Any public comment on this page? Seeing none. Move along.
Just a reminder to those out there in Zoom land, we only have one visible on the screen, but if you do unmute or click that hand raise button, we can see that and take your questions. Second department here, elections and registrations. We are expecting a slight decrease in spending here, a little over $900. Total department cost is going to be $10,965.
Any public comment? Being none. Next page.
This is the town clerk's department. This handles mostly salaries, office supplies, and the benefits packages, workers' comp insurance, that sort of stuff. This has a difference of $35,272. Total department budget, $326,560.
Any public comment? Come up to the mic, and state your name and address, please. Sure.
Shelley Packard, 34 Main Avenue. I just wondered about the big jump in health insurance. Is that a projection? But
Those are the rates that we were given for the upcoming year.
okay,
Yeah, and you'll see that a lot throughout the.
Yeah.
We had a big decrease in our workers' comp package. We did really well with that. And
Oh.
all of that was pretty well canceled out by the increase in the insurance package.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And on Zoom, we have a,
Oh,
Can Sandra-
Miss Sullivan.
can she come on?
Hi, Sandy Sullivan.
Can we
One
we need-
oh- Oh, do
Go
you
ahead,
need
Sandy,
to?
can you put your camera on for us, please?
Yep. Is that, whoop,
There it goes. Now we see you. Thank
There
you so
you
much.
are.
oh, goody. Sandra Sullivan, 104 Sunset Drive. I just wanted the council and the public to please pay attention to the costs of insurance throughout all of these screens. I didn't realize it, and I don't know how many of the public realize it. The town pays 100% of union employees and most of non-union employee insurance. That I think is overly generous. I know nothing can be done about it now. But please pay attention to it and remember it at the time of the next negotiation for contracts. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy.
Yeah, she's absolutely right. And she and I talked about that through email this afternoon. But to expand on it a little more, the unions, the union employees, given their contracts, they get 100% paid for a single plan. If they add family members to that plan, it becomes an expense to the employee. And then, of course, there's, the deductibles and the copays and all that, which are paid by the employee. And then non-union employees, I believe it's 87 and 13, the way that gets split percentage wise. So the rest of that cost is deducted from payroll. And then there's the deductibles and copays on top of that.
Council McGlaughlin.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch what percentage was employer and employee.
87 and 13. And those
But
are,
it's 100% of the union employees.
yes,
And
if they have a single plan, yes.
that was good back in 1950, but I think you will find not very many places where they pay 100% of the employee insurance now. And I'm sure that's going to make me very popular with the town employees. But most of us struggle to pay our own insurance, let alone pay for all of the employees of the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Any other public comment? Seeing none, you can move along.
Just can't.
Yeah.
Andy, can you lower that hand? I can't seem to do it on my end right now. Thank you. We're good with the clerk's department?
We are.
Cool. Here we go. The assessing department, we're going back to the regular schedule for the assessor. Some of those, couple of those special projects that we needed more time for are wrapping up. So we're looking at bringing that back to a more normal range and time in the office. That's a decrease of $22,585 and a total department budget of $119,352.
Any public comment? Seeing none. Next page.
This is the expenses for our municipal building. We've been able to do a lot of projected savings in this department. We're decreasing that by $19,423 for a total budget here of $92,861.
Any public comment? Moving right along.
We'll do these two together because they are small. Our audit report costs us about $25,000. That is a federal requirement, and our legal expenses, we're doing really well here and expect a balance that we can carry forward should we feel we need to come that time midsummer when those are addressed. We're decreasing that by $10,000 for a total of $30,000 in that department.
Any public comment? Seeing none? Move along.
Administration department. This is our IT contracts, telephones. You'll see a big jump here for those that haven't been playing along the whole time. So that line 2028 telephone, that is a new approach where we're rather than spreading out percentages of bills to different departments, with the new service that we have coming in, we've got that to a point where it's all going to be on one bill, and it'll just be split from the general fund and from wastewater. So all other department phone and internet budgets have been combined into this line. So you'll see zeros in those other departments. This one is a combination of everything. And it's a few $1,000s more than it had been in the past with the new service. But I am really happy that, that our new internet in this building is supposed to be installed this coming Tuesday. And if that goes well, then Thursday of next week will be the first time in well over a year that these meetings haven't been broadcast using the hotspot on my personal cell phone.
All right.
So I see Sandy's camera is off.
Oh, it's
Or on.
It's back on, so
Right.
we go to public comment on Zoom. Sandy?
I haven't hit the total yet.
Oh,
Let me do
sorry.
a total real quick. We're looking at a difference of $36,651. Total department budget, $126,436.
Now I can go to public comment.
Okay, it's not a whole lot of money. It's just, I have no idea what it is. What is well-being benefit?
So we have that, that is a fund that's identified in our personnel policy, where employees are encouraged to, either join a gym or sign up for a yoga class or fitness class, or, do something about that with personal health and wellness. And we it's a 50% match. So, like if up to $200. So if I were to join, the gym, I could join that for a year and be reimbursed up to $200. It's something that really hasn't been used much at all in the past, but we're seeing some more of the newer folks on the team take better advantage of that. So we're looking to be a little more accommodating there.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. I noticed it too, and I'm pleased with the increase that more staff will utilize that wellness stipend. We know some folks use it, as you mentioned, the gym to use lifestyle fitness, and we welcome membership. There you go.
All right.
Any other public comment? Seeing none,
This
page
is,
11.
oh, this one's actually empty. This is the
Oh, right.
revaluation. This is actually when these funds are, so in previous years, this funding was set aside from,
Mhm.
unspent revenues. So this project is completely funded, and then throughout the year, we pull from that fund and kind of slide it through this department to pay for those expenses. So we do expect to finish that up this year. Be some spending on that against the total identified pot of funds for it. But it doesn't show in this report because it's already been raised and allocated. The planning and code enforcement department. This has a slight difference of $2,388. The total department budget is $48,463.
Any public comment? Seeing none, you can move along.
That's the economic development department. We are making some changes to the spending lines in this. Total decrease of $30,000. The total department cost here is $45,480. And, just to explain a couple of those items, we're looking to, as I mentioned in, the workshops and meetings leading up to this, our goal in this budget was to decrease, over budgeting and really look at the trends and where we actually spent to bring those numbers into a more responsible rate. And then, so we have that going on with the expenses, and then we have, we've been doing carry forwards with some of the larger line items over the last few years, and some of these, like, this 3778 economic development line, we're expecting a considerable balance by the end of the year to be remaining there. So we're, decreasing the raise for next year. But we have intention of being able to couple that with next year's funding and tackle some projects there.
Thank you. Any public comment on this page? Seeing none, you can move along.
This is the Community Initiatives Department. This one changing by $369. The total department budget is $102,548.
Any public comment?
And I'll just mention, because I'm incredibly proud of this department, but this, $100,000 or so that's been in our budget for the last, this will be our third year, has already brought more than $2.5 million in grant funding to our town to address some really major projects and cleanup action sort of thing. So props
Props.
props to the council
Yeah.
for creating that position as I was, before I was coming in and then allowing us to work through that. It has really paid off for our community in a big way.
Great, good investment.
Any questions on that one?
I see none.
This is our police department contract. It's $848,874.
Any public comment? Move along.
Fire department. This one has, excuse me, I'm really having some.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, I'll try to stop doing that as much as possible. We are, uh, you know, pretty impressed with this department. This is not what it looked like in the first draft. But we were able to get that increase down to just over $4,000. And the total department budget here is $101,558.
Any public comment? Seeing none, we can move along.
The ambulance department. This one is change of $6,266. Total department budget $249,794.
Any public comment? Seeing none?
This is fire and ambulance general. This is where you see the payroll related items for our employees in the fire and ambulance department. This is reflective of the new pay rates, and several have, upgraded their licenses, which is awesome. And, advanced through the union steps into new pay rate. The total difference here is $3,325. The total department cost is $1,098,131.
Any public comment? Seeing none, move along.
We'll do these two together. Community services. This is where we see that wonderful hydrant rental cost. They've hit us with pretty sizable increases the last couple of years. It's going up another $30,000 this year. This is the bill that we pay to Maine Water Company to have access to our hydrants should we need them in case of emergency for the fire department. I will probably always mention that the town of Willanaca had an opportunity in not so distant past to purchase that water infrastructure for $1 million. And we now pay over $500,000 every year to that company to have access to the hydrant. So that department is increasing by $29,218 and a total cost of $612,400. And then our insurances that we pay for property and vehicle and equipment, all that sort of stuff, that is increasing by $8,837 for a total of $128,127.
Any public comment? I see none, so you can move along.
Right. This is enforcement officials. Health officer, electrical inspector are in here. Their stipends, we're actually seeing a decrease there. The comp rate there. So total department is $10,886. And then the dog constable department, given the changes that were suggested by the council during this department total $18,690 change of 4,000 altogether.
Any public comment? Being none? We're on page 28. Oh, in our packet.
Fringe benefit. This is a tricky one. We do this by 3-year average. And then this kind of get dispersed swear throughout the year. That is looking at a decrease of $4,118, total $44,137.
Any public comment? Seeing none, move along.
Public Works Administration. This total department is down a little over $1,000. The department cost $124,900.
Any public comment? Seeing none, next page.
Public Works Garage Maintenance. Decreasing this one $2,000. The cost is $36,000.
Any public comment? Next,
Public Work, Roads and Construction. This is page 1 of 2 for this department. The major difference you'll see here is paving. Been feeding that a lot and done great work there the last few years. Brian and I, as we all discussed recently, and that price and the plans for paving, we identified what really needed to be done this next year, trying to keep overspending to limit. So that's the biggest decrease here. It's decreased by $200,000. And some good news there that the cost guesstimate that we were working with during that shop and that presentation has proven to be more than we're actually expecting. We have some more solid prices from the contract. So, our wish list is still over our intended budget and mostly we've decided that, changes in the village partnership initiative with the DOT and state budget and how that's affecting DOT's plan. We decided we really can't let Knobscott Avenue go any longer, and we'd like to find a way to sneak that in there. So, but the prices per ton, the paving, quite a bit better than expected them to be. They're more comparable to what they were last year, but, you know, depending on how intensive some sections are, those are expensive. But, they're really working with us to give us a good price this year, so we should be able to get some. Maybe.
We look forward to seeing how far we can stretch that budget for sure. Yeah.
So the second part of that is here. This is more benefits. You can see, you know, like I mentioned in response to Shelley a little earlier, you know, workers' comp, this is one of the bigger decreases. Comp, down quite a bit, and then the insurance pretty well canceled. But overall, this department is down $85,880. The total cost $1,427,606.
Any public comment? Seeing none? Move along.
Right. Transfer site. Sorry, this one's like kind of small. In the room anyway. This is the first page. Nothing crazy in this one. Notable though, the landfill cost here is expected to be you know, those price per ton for tipping fees is going up again. So we have to increase that by 10,000. Some other lines we were able to look at and decrease pretty well. The second part of that, the shingles disposal is down, and what we learned recently is that the cost for the disposal of wood ash is increasing quite a bit with the closure of the Dolby landfill, and the companies having to take that to Juniper Ridge town. That's become a lot more expensive for the town than it is increasing by $8,500. I can't recommend enough that everybody check out the new and growing list of cycling options that we have at the transfer site. You know, all of those things, every time they go in the hopper, they cost us more and more money. But
Mhm.
you know, if they just brought to
Right.
the other building at the same place, you can actually collect those, keep them out of the cost of landfill and all that, and we can actually make revenue to offset the cost of running that department. So I will probably never stop promoting that. You know, if you're not a you know, a nature person, think of it in a funny way, and we'll be better off both ways. Total department cost for transfer site is $519,705.
Thank you. And Manager, I do appreciate your comments on trying to get our tipping fees down and getting people to use the recycle services that we have. And so we'll have to do a lot more marketing and promotion around that, seeing what we can do to get community members to do that. Any other council comment? Public comment on this department? Seeing none?
Library,
Move along.
this one is remaining at $150,000 in this budget.
Any public comment? Well, seeing none. Go to the next page.
debt and interest. This is several different things. This is, debt related to the loan setup gotten in the past. And quite a bit is offset by revenues. They do pay us to go against these principal and interest payment. So that is offset and to taxpayer. And then we have a couple of other loans here and the fire truck payment. So that is the total increase there. The fire truck loan expense increase is $40,509. And the total budget here is $147,713. And I would note that I can't remember the number off the top of my head, but it is 65, 70,000 ish that is offset by the hour time loan payment. No, Beverly confirms.
You're not crazy? Is that what you confirmed?
Yes, she did confirm that
Okay,
that's okay.
all right. Council comment, public comment. Okay, seeing none, we can move to the next page.
General assistance. This budget is tweaked a little throughout the different lines, but all in all, works out to be flat at $17,150. And being spent from this is reimbursed to us at 7%.
Any public comment? Page.
Public health welfare agents. Really just a few lines in here that we use these days. We are expecting some increase to the cost of the fact that we provide cemetery. Legion and the to disperse those throughout the cemetery. And then the donation line. Well, so we are looking at a cost there of
Any public comment? Being none? Page.
cemetery. $79,427.
Any public comment? Being none?
Recreation. One that's a little small up there. This is the first page.
Okay.
Similar to others, decrease in workers' comp, increase in of the hospital insurance there. And the end number there for recreation department, 223,000 for overall difference of $15,000. And then the, related, program administered through the rec department, snow sled and ATV program. That's the ATV trail grant, the local match, and snow sled program. The local clubs to take care of that. Factor and that for us. Local match, proposing an increase like we discussed in the $10,000. And total apartment for that one, $149,500. Much of that is passed through. Off that. Side.
So I'm seeing public comment on Zoom. Sandy?
Hi, Sandy Sullivan, 104 Sunset. On the previous page, page 43, and it's been with all of the other employee too, and I thought I just needed to ask a question. Accident, sickness insurance versus hospital insurance. What's the difference? There's a huge difference in premiums, but are we paying two separate insurances for each employee?
So the accident and sickness insurance is the unum. So it's kind of like a long-term leave benefit. You know, somebody's going to be out for a medical reason for an extended period of time. This
Okay.
helps to offset the cost.
And we, the town pays 100% on that insurance also.
Yes. Throughout the
That-
total budget. I think the combined total, if you add them all up, is 20,000. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'd have to verify an exact number there, but I think it's in that range.
Thanks.
Great, thank you for your question. Any other public comment? Come up to the mic. Name and address again, please.
Shelley Packard, 34 Main Ave. My question is, why wouldn't that X/6 come under your family medical?
Well, it's a different program, and the family medical leave is certainly a new thing that's included.
As main PERS employees, you don't automatically have family medical leave.
We didn't until but well, there wasn't a cost for it until this
Right.
this budget
Yeah.
with the new state legislation. I'd probably have to research that a little more to get.
So I would think that's kind of like a double coverage, but I'm
The
not sure.
accident insurance is the health insurance. The,
Medical.
the accident and sickness is the short-term disability insurance. Family medical leave is the 1% that the state saying that everybody has to pay.
So that's under the
5%
law.
on the employee, 0.5% on the employer.
Okay, I just assumed we're automatically covered under main PERS.
No, totally different than being PERS.
Okay.
Yeah.
Retirement. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Any other public comment? Seeing none? Going to airport operations?
Yeah, that brings us to airport operations. Looking at a slight decrease there. $175 altogether. Gonna be $201,711.
Any public comment? Seeing none, you can go to the next page.
Airport business, this is the cost of the products that are then sold for, with a profit margin and set by the airport business revenue department at a higher value than what this department would cost. I think this was really safe estimate for the next year. Expect to go through more product or fuel, and we have, just as this meeting was about to start, that another new airplane knock at home. Hangar, some sort of revenue. But in this budget, we are estimating an increase of $1,000 and total cost there product of $86,600.
Any public comment? Seeing none, next.
Holiday observation and events. Increases here are based around being able to do more this coming summer with the 4th of July activities and the big alumni homecoming events that the alumni committee is working on. And then, looking forward, so this line is a little tricky the way that it gets spent. Like we're putting down payment now from this budget into the 4th of July fireworks kind of stuff. Things that happen, 3 and 4 days into the beginning of the fiscal year. So some of that will be towards what goes on the following summer, and that is, we do have a big 125th birthday coming up next summer. That looks like it.
Yeah, Councilor Bragdon.
Peter, how long has it been since we actually funded the scholarship donation?
I have no idea. The scholarships that we do come out of the events could be.
So it's just kind of shift.
And we do have some really good candidates that have applied in this graduating class. We have upcoming council and they do the applications.
Do we know approximately how much?
It's $1,000
We're
to 500,000. We're gonna pay for everybody to come.
I want to apply for
We're gonna I've been saying a lot of numbers.
I know, right?
It's to $500.
Yeah. Yeah. Any public comment?
I'll go back that's over there.
Yeah.
The county tax
Moving along.
is going up another $54,958. From FY23, that's an increase of almost $120,000. That is tax that we pay to county. Total is $413,086.
Any public comment? Moving along.
Capital improvements. This is the budget. So this includes the 2 purchases that we discussed and presented in the workshops. So the budgeted capital improvements line is the combination of that first payment sweeper truck replacement, street sweeper, and the purchase of the job life extraction tool placement, placing the obsolete that we have.
Yep.
So that's the 32,000, and of course the $10,000 line there is contingency line to absorb some of the unexpected changes with capital purchases. So, you know, if cost changes, shipping, then we
Right.
expect that captures those costs. Total capital improvement this year is 142,000.
Any public comment? Seeing none. Seeing none.
All right. That moves us to
Revenue.
the municipal revenue department. This is a, this is a smaller budget than our expense budget. Thank you, Beth. It's been a long day. So this means we're picking up the pace here. General government revenue, budget, we are looking at expected revenue here of $2,805,524. That's an increase of 309,000.
Any public comment? As you see some on Zoom, I'm not seeing any in the room.
Town clerk's department, increase in anticipated revenue here. By $11,500. Department revenue. $983,000.
Any public comment? Think you can move along.
Two departments on this page, assessing, roughly expecting a decrease in this revenue here. Given, you know, changes to veterans reimbursement, the tree growth and homestead exemption. So we're looking at a, you know, pretty sizable decrease in anticipated revenue here. $76,300. For a total revenue of $579,000. And then, of course, the municipal building revenue. The reason for that $25,000 decrease there, is, I had mentioned previously, the arrangement with the court system to contribute to our elevator modernization did not come to fruition. So we just removed that. Total municipal bill, 7,000.
Any public comment? Being none. Next page.
The planning and code enforcement revenue. This one is up in anticipated revenue by $8,575. That's I think it's a pretty modest guess. As we know, this is the best guesses. So educated guesses involved. So the major increases on this are for the general building permits and that sort of thing. We're seeing more and more of that time, and we do have, you know, new construction homes that are being planned and permits coming left and right. So that's working out well. And then the short-term rental revenue line, we, we guesstimated that we hope to get 50 out of the 70-ish that we are of fully committed and licensed through the town. If we get that many, it'll be 5. Okay, total revenue there, $15,575. And then the economic development revenue line and Cat TV pass-through funding for B-line, as well as loan payments from Arcatad that I mentioned earlier, which is quite a bit more than I estimated. It's 100,000, it's not 60. So we're looking at a total revenue there of 112,000.
Any public comment? Seeing none?
Fire
Speech?
department. This is one of the two I mentioned were updated just this morning. I had talked about the Penobscot County fire and EMS agreement for the unorganized territories being renegotiated during this process. And just last night around 8 p.m. we heard that the county commissioners gave quote unquote non-approval to the new stipend amendments in that contract. Contract is yet to be signed by either, but talking with the unorganized territory administrator, both competent enough to actually it's here. So that is going 8,000 to 35,000. And realistic to what is actually spent currently with that $8,000 stipend. The local taxpayers are still paying 70% of services provided so far this year in the unorganized territories. So we continue to address that, and they are with us on acknowledging that and making it better. Total department budget for fire department revenue is at $37,000, increase of 27,000, and it won't be included in this year's municipal budget, but we are expected to renegotiate with Scott County, mid to late May. And I can tell you that that $2,000 stipend is chewed up one to Scott. So we expect that to change. If that revenue increases, it will fall to our unassigned fund balance. Help in future years.
Any council comment? Any public comment? Seeing none? Next.
Ambulance revenue. This is the second of those 2 pages that were updated. What we have agreed to with the county here is, where we have a better understanding of how the ambulance billing is working out for the unorganized territory. Now that we have the electronic digital reporting, both fire and EMS, it's easier to track, figure out how that's working. So we're actually decreasing our stipend amount, and then there's new cost that we bill directly to no transport into the unorganized territory. with, you know, we're still kind of figuring out that ambulance billing and that they poured in. Sure, yeah. But total revenue in the ambulance department is gonna be $371.75 estimated.
Any public comment? Seeing none?
Community services. I didn't think to point it out in the expense budget, but since our last workshop where this was addressed, the incredible Miss Bev here had gone in and done some updates into Creo software, the CV chart, and you know, so it's more realistic now instead of zero. So we have revenue there of $100 built in, and you know, year to date we have revenue $335. So you know, again, we're not getting rich off it. This is more realistic, and
Okay.
depending on what happens, you know, we could be pleasantly surprised. They really make some hundreds of dollars there. Well, you know, for free infrastructure. So, you know, not too bad of a deal. Fringe benefits, that revenue line has $1,800 in it.
Any public comment? Seeing none? Next.
Public Works Administration, this is where you see the flusher truck reimbursement that I talked about during the wastewater expense budget. So that's at $60,000 there that covers the majority of the new salary. Should it be approved, and when it is advertised and billed, there's no additional number currently.
Okay.
And that total department revenue is $60,075. Followed by Public Works, Roads and Construction. That is the LRAP funding that we received from the state. Expected at 2,000, been trending a little higher than we anticipated the last couple of years, so may end up with 2,000 revenue. But right
Any public comment? Seeing none?
transfers. This one's tricky. So in our new agreement with the unorganized territory for solid waste, you know, the people who live in the unorganized territories out and they visit our site are now paying the same amount as people who live in that line should essentially double, but we have not seen that proven in revenue as of yet. So we really have to keep an eye on that and track it. And we think that this year it's going to be an opportunity to learn about how that's play out. So essentially it could be close to breaking even, but we don't depend on that without, you know, trend. So we're looking at a total expected revenue $112,978.
Any public comment? Seeing none. Next page.
General assistance, this is, 70% of what we presented in the expense for general assistance.
Mhm.
Again, if you spend that, it's reimbursed 70%, so it's $14,000 in revenue here. And the cemetery has a bit of an increase. It's unfortunate, but we are an aging community, and unfortunate that neighbors do that. And it's happening at a fast pace. So that I have like 22,005.
Any public comment? Seeing no movement, keep going.
That your lead, Madam Chair. Snow sled ATV program, this is the revenue side of that budget. It's the ones that pass through to absorb that. But these are the grants from state that to automobile and ATV clubs for maintenance and rail. Total affected there under 7,000.
Any public comment? Yep. Next.
Airport business. This is the profit side of the airport business expense. So this is where you see revenues, leases, revenues, aviation gas, and jet fuel sales. Looking at 114,800. And I do think this, I really believe.
Counselor Bragdon.
I asked this last time. These the updated one. Really fun, but, because if Jeff keeps this up, we're gonna actually have to like make them open a copy.
Oh, yeah. We were actually talking about that in our staff meeting. He really had to get out of. He had to change the toilet paper.
No, in all honesty,
He's gotta start serving now.
that's a very good point. We can talk later about it. I like the copy slide.
Oh, yeah, okay.
In all honesty, though, the changes that have been made to the airport and expanding services to the airport have been nothing but amazing. So thank you to you both for one, recommending the changes and two, implementing them. Because it does help offset the budget. And it's an amazing asset for them. So thank you.
Any other council comment? Yeah. Any public comment? And none? Next page.
There are three
Great.
here.
All right.
Holiday observation and events. Pretty good chance somebody's gonna donate $500. And we usually make a little bit more than that from those donations. CDBG interest there, that is interest on some CDBG funds that we have in an old revolving loan fund that is gaining a little bit of interest, and then the interest made from our capital account, $500. And then, speaking again briefly about our expectation to lead our investment program for municipalities coming year. So we'll hopefully be able to, the goal is to be presenting and passing an investment policy down, put that, and then we'll be able to secure the funding into the special $50 account. Short term, lots of flexibility and from there. Should we need that funding and that, you know, it'd be really starting to use those use our cash balance a lot more wisely than we have had historically to start growing revenue. So I hope that by the time we do this next year, I to show quite a bit interest doing.
We look forward to hearing more about that investment policy, learning about it. Any other council comment? Any public
So
comment?
I'm gonna hit the budget summary recap one more time, so
Okay.
all on the same page, and then I have 2 additional slides. Again, our expense total is $8,212,951. Our revenue total is 500. $5,447,916. The tax raise portion is $2,765,035. And the difference from FY25 to FY26 tax raise, that's the amount that we ask our community to pay taxes, that is decreasing by $24,500 year tax raise. Any questions on that
Any
slide?
questions from counselors? Or the public?
The next 2 slides, you know, I often get asked how the tax bills get broken down. Those questions have already started to come through as we work through the workshops and special hearings. So I've done up some visuals, the breakdown as they're represented and would be represented in the tax bills should the draft versions of these budgets be adopted. So right here, so our tax bills are broken down between town, school, and county. The current percentage breakdown with the drafts that are presented right now have the town at 35% of the tax bill, county tax 6% of the tax bill, and the school department at 59%. So this is visual representation of how it broke it down and would be expected for the FY26. Anybody have questions on this one?
Any council comment?
The next slide is a 3-year comparison. So here we have FY24, FY25, and FY26 post in current proposed draft. So you can see here the county has gone 2% to 6% those 3 years. The town is 49% down to 35% in years. 49% to 50%. Question that comes up often in my world and has come up earlier this year than in recent years. Usually it doesn't come up until October when people are paying their tax bills. But I think more people are paying attention to spending. To the information. See?
Do we have a question from Councilman
Yeah,
McGlaughlin?
just like, how is that calculated? Explain that to me.
So we take, so like the tax raise portion of our budget,
Mhm.
2.7 million
Yeah.
ish. And then that is reduced by the amount of county tax that we pay as a county. And then, so those two numbers, and then the school tax raise, just their, expense over revenue that tax makes up. We add those three numbers together to get total raise tax, and then figure out what percentage each of those.
Okay, it's just confusing to me because. So that's why I'm trying to sort it out in my head, because. Both, like the schools. From the draft budget that we saw last week. Week is down, the tax raise portion is down significantly. So from last year, so why does the percentage more? That's where I get confused.
Well, so the school's tax raise this proposed for FY26 is about. It is decreased from last year. About half as much as they had increased that same year. So, the increase in the tax raise last year was something for like 650,000.
Right, right,
And now it's decreased by 300,000 ish. But that's still much higher than it, the previous year. So we literally take the difference in their revenues and expenses. The difference in our revenue. We isolate county tax. That total, and that's what we have to raise in taxes by, for both the school, the town, county's portion. And then we just divide that. Those totals against.
thank you.
We could.
Because people ask that all the time, and
Yeah.
I don't know how that's calculated.
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as taking the difference between the
Yeah.
expenses and revenues
Yeah.
for each budget and adding them and dividing
Right.
them by.
Thank you.
Councilor Pelletier, did you have your hand up? Did you have your hand up? You were fine.
See,
The public, Sandy?
Hi, Sandy Sullivan, 104 Sunset Drive. It also looks to me like the town is using 500,000 from the fund balance to keep their ask down. Is that correct?
that's correct. It's a common part of the municipal budgeting process. It's larger this year than it was last year. This year we have 500,000 built in there. Last year was 200,000. The year before that was like 750,000. So it's, anything over our mandatory goal, if you will, of $3 million balance to cover our expenses for, X amount of money. That money is intended to, have two different rates. One is offset the spending and thus decreasing the taxes paid by the local community. And then the other is to take care of, unexpected expenses, infrastructure related things. Yes. Dip into periodic of the year. So it's a common practice. Been used.
Okay, and my second question, and I don't know if you can answer this yet or not, but for the past couple of years, land values and home values have increased, in some cases quite a bit, arbitrarily. Do you anticipate having to do that this year?
So I'm gonna correct you just really quick. It's not an arbitrary. There's uh, there's a science to that. Legalities are having to do. So it is not. The increases in values do not change the amount of taxes that somebody pays. Because increasing the value of the to its where it needs to be or legally is offset by decreasing bill. And the end of that mathematic equation is the same. The confusion in the last year was there was an increase in the assessed value, a decrease in the bill rate, which would, you know, if the budget is flat, would equal the same number the year. With the increase in tax base, the school budget, that increased everybody's tax. And that is payment of bills, not because of the increase. This year, with what we learned a month and a half ago or so about the our revaluation getting a big roadblock, we will have to adjust values because it continues to push our current values further away from fair market value and implication in revenue services. So there will have to be an adjustment this year to make up for that while we finalize revaluation. I can't tell you what that will be. It's out somewhere around, you know, late August or September. We do tax commitment. You know, tax. And again, it is not a process that's done. So it's abiding by the
Are you, any other questions, Sandy?
I'm just sitting here amazed that upping the value of my house didn't up my taxes any, because my taxes went up $1,000 last year. So I'm sorry, Mr. Manager, but that wasn't quite a convincing argument to me.
Oh, we can talk more about it offline, but what I explained.
Yep, okay.
My taxes went up, didn't have anything to do with assessed value.
I'm gonna come back to Counselor Pelletier.
Yeah, just a point of information, revaluation. Gonna be completed next year, and we'll have that. For anybody that disagrees with their home value not matching their assessed market value, well, you can go out and get a market appraisal and bring it in and ask for an adjustment.
Well, yeah, but yeah, they don't
You
relate
may
to,
not get the adjustment. but
they don't relate directly, but they are related. And yes, you can challenge your value at any point in time.
Any other public comment? Need to come up to the mic, your name?
Packard, 34 Main Ave. I wondered if there had been any consideration as to how we used to pay our tax. We're doing them now in October, and then we have to do them in January. And that was done back at female town manager, I can't remember her name, for a certain reason. And it's stayed that way. Has there been any thoughts of putting it back to October?
No, I honestly, I don't know enough. That.
It's very difficult to pay it in October, at Christmas and December, and then you gotta pay it
If I'm
for
the
January.
Chair and manager, I can address that just a little bit, because I was here during that time.
Yes, Madam Clerk, please.
If I recall, the conversation included, the assessor and the manager at the time to bring in the revenues at a more, usable rate versus the taxes coming in later in the year and not being available for usage during that taxed year. If that makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I wonder if,
July to June, our second half is really covering the January to June.
Yeah.
The first half is covering the July to June. So technically you're paying your second half a little bit, your first half a little bit later in the year. And your second half.
so I don't think I would close the book on that, you know, I think it's justification to look at it, you know, I, yeah. Our overall finances are in a better shape than we were at.
I
I
want,
can't tell you in this moment that we would be able to do that, but if the question, this is the first time I've been asked. So I didn't even really know that had changed. So, you know, I think we're happy to check it out and see if it's.
can I ask a second
Do
question?
you have a second question?
Any questions?
Yeah.
If you,
Okay.
I mean, it's not my meeting, it's your meeting.
public.
No, I'm just wondering, I know we're gonna have more meetings on the budget, like for the school. But,
One more next week.
right, but how much longer sustain this kind of percentage for school budget? For the population that we have in this town? The lower classes of students, we only have a graduating class, 20-something. 60% or 59% for the school budget is outrageous. to me. My school coordinated back in 1994. So it's always kind of blown my mind that within 10 miles, you know, we have all these schools. I just wondered if there's any talk, or I know consolidation is a 4-letter word to a lot of people. But both towns, 3 towns, we don't have a very young population anymore. And, you know, I don't mind paying my fair share to educate my grandchildren, et cetera. But how much longer can we sustain these increases?
We appreciate your question and your concern. It's sort of rhetorical. We're trying to figure that out. I will go to my council. I saw 3 hands up prior when you got up and started speaking. So I first saw Councilor Bragdon. And then I saw Councilor Pelletier and then Councilor McGlaughlin. Okay.
Yeah, on the timing of the tax, particularly cash flow, they weren't getting the money by the end of the beginning of the new tax year thing. They still had carryover receivable. So you're
Sorry.
yeah, you end up using that, and it costs money to use money like that. So they have money coming in, and practically all collected by the end of the fiscal year. Thanks. Have money in order to pay it out. And if you're using your bank account, that's costing you in. Now that you're gonna get into investment, but even more money.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I think it's very hard for a town to have a tax bill due 6 months apart exactly, because that means you'd have to have your tax bill out early July and then your second half in January. So that's pretty much really hard to do because your fiscal year doesn't start till July 1st. So I think what I'm seeing here is
just the first time I've
Yeah.
ever down.
They both-
Yeah, so we appreciate the comments
And
and.
it is study out.
So-
I gave a nod of approval. with
Okay.
these, Right.
Okay,
That's good.
we may
So,
have,
this is, I'm actually learning something right now. I didn't know that it was different in the past. Uh, My property's always been an escrow. I don't pay those bills. This process, is what I had inherited. Close. Could be different. Also, and, you know, one fiscal year ending, beginning, and then, you know, not actually being able to get commitments and finalize. Exactly. August.
And maybe if we stretched it a month this way and
That
that
would-
way,
Yeah,
that would help.
wait, I'm certainly open to looking into it. You know, researching.
And if I may add, there's there was a couple multiples with that. It was a different time there. The budget hearings and stuff were later also. So it was just a couple multiple factors in the billing cycle. So later budget seasons, make later bill seasons. So that just kind of followed through that way. We're bringing the budgets a little closer in the year where they should be, so maybe there's something to revisit.
yeah. So, yeah, thank you for your comments. All right, we're gonna go to Council McGlaughlin.
January.
Okay, hello. I'll get my gavel now. You wanna go? So Council McGlaughlin had her hand up prior. Would you like to follow up with it?
Yeah,
Her
I just wanted
response?
to follow up with, her question about, the school. And I do agree with you. I happen to work at the school, so I have a lot of insight on that. And I can assure you that those conversations are ongoing. I can assure you that those subjects are being talked about, shared services are being talked about. Unfortunately, the school faces a lot of issues that other people, mandated wage increases by the state, increased building costs, increased special education costs, a lot of things that are out of their control. I am for regionalization, but you have to have a willing partner on the other end, and I'll leave it there. You're welcome.
Anybody, Counselor Bragdon?
Thank you. I have 2 points that I'd like to bring up. The first one being the first question of the budget. I had that question asked to me today, and I was planning on asking it, talking to Peter about it after the session, because it doesn't create so much confusion, but we can bring it on the table.
It seems like.
One of the big questions that was asked to me is why we don't do it in February, because one of the big issues with Millen office, there's a lot of people living on social security to their tax return. And why we couldn't push it back a month, so people who get the tax return have the ability to get it bills back. So that discussion was had with me today and yesterday by separate parties. So that was something I wanted to discuss today, actually, but like I said, I'd love
I'm
to
good
explore
there.
I'd like to
Look
explore
into
and see if that's potentially possible, for multiple reasons. I'm glad that that's been discussed. And the second point is with the school budget, similar to the town council, the school board, I don't feel like it's enough comments filtered through the school board at the school board to address issues like one, the budget, or two, ongoing the school. So my ask that every citizen that has concern with the budget, instead of waiting till October, go to your school board, talk to them, discuss the budget, discuss areas that you're friends with, potential ideas you have. We're all human, we all make mistakes, we all have different ideas. And if we don't start sharing those ideas with the community, we're never gonna be able to change it. So go to your school board and the school board won't get it. Bring these ideas up, bring these discussions up, so these conversations can be ongoing instead of dying and then waiting till October. And the same goes for the council. I'm glad there's a lot more people here tonight than there was the last several nights that we had budget meetings. So that's my big ask for anyone who has concern.
Any other council comment? Well, here ends our first public hearing, first reading of our budget. As mentioned, we will be back here next Thursday, same time, same place, with a lot more to go. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Council Bragdon, second by Council McGowan. All those in favor of adjournment? Passes 5-0. We are adjourned. Well said. Should I put some?